Our first point is that George can be seen as a parent to Lenny.
This is shown by how Lenny copies George's movements, and George's first words are warning Lenny not to drink so much because he might get sick. George can be defined by a few distinct characteristics. He is short-tempered, but a loving and devoted friend, whose frequent protests against life with Lenny never weaken his commitment to protecting his friend.
George's first words are a stern warning to Lenny not to drink so much lest he gets sick.
Careful you don't drink too much, you get sick.
They really set the tone of their relationship. George may be terse and impatient at times, but he never strays from his primary purpose of protecting Lenny.
However, George could also resent Lenny for making his life harder, like in Weed, where he was forced to run away from his job there because of Lenny.
As well as this, George may only be staying with Lenny because he feels he has a commitment to his promise he made to Aunt Clara.
George may just stay with Lenny because he feels that he gives a sense of companionship. As Crook says, everybody needs someone, otherwise they go nuts. George says that migrant workers get real mean if they don't have someone to go around with.
George often uses violent language, such as crazy bastard or bastard bus driver. The way George uses Jesus Christ and blubbering like a baby in the same sentence create an image where we have Christ and a baby, both symbols of innocence and faith, but it used in a violent curse.
Another reason that George may stay with Lenny is because if he was to leave Lenny, he will feel guilty of this because Lenny isn't very smart.
Careful you don't drink too much, you get sick.
George portrays some of the key themes of Mice and Men, such as friendship and perseverance.
I got you, Lenny.
Yeah, you got me, George.
And I know that you got me too.
Yeah, I got you, George.
When George says that he's got Lenny and he knows that Lenny has got him too, it represents friendship because although the relationship is not on equal terms because Lenny is less intelligent and slightly childlike, George still treats him as his equal. George also shows friendliness when he is willing to accept Candy into his future after a few days of knowing him. Interestingly enough, George contradicts one of the key themes of the novella, which is loneliness and isolation because he is the only one with a friend on the ranch. This immediately represents George as a special, unique character because he is a one-of-a-kind. The link between George being a nice person and being the only one with a friend could be Steinbeck's way of portraying that being a good guy will get you far in life. However, this is contradicted by the fact that George never makes his dream come true and fails to keep Lenny safe, which is his primary promise in life.
Now, let's move on to the perplexing topic of George shooting Lenny. This can be interpreted in a number of different ways. Firstly, it could be considered as an act of compassion to save him from worse fates, such as being locked up in an asylum, or being shot in the stomach and bleeding slowly to death. He did this as a friend, not wanting to see Lenny get hurt. Alternatively, the act of shooting Lenny may have been fueled by self-interest more than anything else, as he is sick of constantly having to take care of Lenny when he just wants to earn his $50 each month and waste them in a cat house.
Ready?
You crazy son of a bitch, you keep me on hot water all the time.
I only wanted to touch it.
Well, how did she know that you only wanted to feel her dress? George may just stay with Lenny because he feels that he gives a sense of companionship. As Crook says, everybody needs someone, otherwise they go nuts. And even George says something that I can't remember.
That is going in blooper.
You crazy son of a bitch. I've forgotten what it was.